We greet our friends everywhere with Chapter 3 of Dr. Ida, the story of Ida Scudder. This is another in the series, Stories of Great Christians, and comes to you from the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago.
We were on a camping trip in India. My father and his brother, my Uncle Jared, whom I had always pictured as some sort of Old Testament prophet, were on a preaching, healing mission. Uncle Jared preached, and my father, of course, was the medical doctor in charge. I went along because I wanted to see my cousin Dixie. She was 6 years older than I. But Dixie and I had always been quite close. I was homesick for the United States, and I needed someone to talk to. Actually, I really wanted to talk about my future. I was still fighting this battle of to be or not to be a foreign missionary, which now that I say it, makes me think that Gilbert and Sullivan might have done something with that phrase. For me, it was the most important question I had ever faced. Dixie had to face the same question, and I hoped she could help me. Incidentally, when I saw her and how beautiful she was, I easily believed the stories that she had received more proposals than any other girl in South India.
Ida, just look at those oleanders.
Let's pick some.
What, do you think we should?
Why not? We'll bring some bouquets back to our fathers and add some color to the tent.
Oh, they are so beautiful. What are you doing?
I'm putting this blossom in your topi, Dixie.
Oh.
It'll dress up your hat.
Then I'll put one in yours. Oh, this is so much fun. Silly, but fun.
I'd hoped we'd have some time to talk. Instead, we've been trekking day after day, listening to our fathers preach, watching them baptize, hearing them teach new converts.
Or we watch them doctor.
What's so funny?
Oh, I'm sorry, but I just think it's the funniest thing the way your father and my father tie up their beards before they lance a boil or extract a tooth.
And they're so serious about it. Say, let's get back to camp before these blossoms wilt.
Where have you two girls been? I've been ready to leave for an hour. It's 5 miles to the next village. We must get there before sundown.
I'm sorry, Dad. We just got carried away. Oh, hello, Uncle Jared.
Dixie, what is that in your hair?
It's an oleander blossom, Father. And here's a bouquet for you.
Oh, very pretty, thank you. But take the blossom off of your head. Now, we're here to inspire holiness among these new Christians, not frivolity.
Yes, Father.
Strange, isn't it, that something God created and which is so beautiful is considered to be frivolity? Even Jesus spoke of the beauty of the lilies of the field.
Ida, what in the world are you doing? Ida!
I'm going to put every last blossom from this bouquet into my hat and into my hair, and I just want to see Uncle Jared will say to that.
Oh, Ida, please.
Hey, oh, my. What a temper. And what spirit. Oh, John, that's what comes from having 5 sons and one lone daughter. Oh, I don't envy you, my poor brother.
You and those silly oleander blossoms in your hat and in your hair. If you could have seen yourself.
I
thought he'd have a
about it.
stroke. He was laughing so hard.
I honestly didn't think Uncle Jared even knew how to laugh.
Ida.
I mean it, Dixie. For the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of your father.
There was never any need to be afraid of him.
Do you like doing what he says all the time?
Most of the time.
Aren't there things you'd like to do all by yourself?
Oh, yes.
Tell me, what would you like to do?
If I were free,
Yes.
if I were free, and if I didn't have to travel with my father.
Quit teasing me. Tell me.
If I were completely free, I'd like to go and live in one of these villages, the poorest and the dirtiest I could find, and live there, perhaps in a tent, perhaps in a mud brick house, the way the other villagers live. I'd work mostly with the women, telling them about Christ, teaching them how to be clean and how to sew and how to take good care of their children. And after I lived in one village for a while, I'd move on to another and start all over again. That's what I'd like to do, more than anything in the whole world.
Well, I was speechless. It wasn't at all what I had expected to hear. It certainly wasn't what I wanted to hear. I had hoped to hear Dixie say that she wanted to run away, back to America, fall in love, and do something else, something exciting, and hopefully take me along with her. Instead, she really wanted to be a missionary. The major objective of this particular trip was a large town to the west where a great Hindu festival was to take place. A noisy procession, dragging a resplendent image of a local deity on a towering gilded cart, passed so close I could smell the acrid smell of ash. In the center of town, in the very shadow of the impressive temple, my father and Uncle Jared began to set up shop. The rear of our bullock cart became a bookstand, and a wheel hub served as a platform. A crowd soon gathered, but it was different from the ones we had seen before. This group seemed hostile from the very outset. And quite frankly, I was afraid. Dixie was passing out tracts. I was at the portable organ. Uncle Jared was preaching. Govinda was the name of the gods these Hindus were honoring on this particular day. As you know, they have many gods, hundreds of them, for separate feast days and seasons and activities.
We have come to tell you about a God who is above all gods, the one who gives us life and breath, and about his Son, Jesus Christ, who saves us from our sin, who heals us from our sufferings, who makes us free men and women.
Uncle Jared was unruffled. Later, my father would also speak. Both he and Uncle Jared were determined to proclaim the good news for which they had come to this particular place. They were not intimidated by the shouting and the heckling, but I was. I fully expected violence to erupt. The hatred and the animosity of the people affected me to the point that I could not control my fingers at the organ.
That wasn't the most pleasant place in which to witness.
I was frightened.
I know, I saw you. But you played very well. Thank you for helping us.
Neither you nor Uncle Jared seemed to be the least bit afraid. Why?
For one thing, we've been through this before. For another, we believe we're doing the Lord's work, and we know He's with us.
I was very proud of you, Dad. And Uncle Jared is quite a preacher.
J-Red is strong, has the courage of a lion, a backbone of steel. Christians here in South India think the world of him. In fact, during the Civil War, when our mission funds were cut off from the States, there wasn't money to send your Uncle Jared back to India. The Christians in his villages here collected $300, all on their own, poor as they were. so Uncle Jared could return to preach and teach.
I never knew that. I wish I had his strength.
Aside from the fact that he is my older brother, I think the world of him, too. Let's go inside the tent and see how he and Dixie are faring.
Some hot tea, Ida? It's fresh.
Thank you. I'd like that.
Sit down, Ida. Enjoy your tea. There's some biscuits, too. Do you know the name of the festival we just witnessed?
No.
Kathihai Tipam, in honor of lightning. There are all sorts of feast days, as you probably know. Deepavali in the fall, when hundreds of little clay lamps are lighted. Holi in the spring, a royal festival of mischief and frivolity. And there's Pongal, celebrating the return of the sun in late December with hideous processions and incantations to drive away the evil spirits.
The thing to remember, Ida, is that these festivals are not intended for praise or thanksgiving. Instead, they're acts of propitiation for angry deities. The basis for them is fear.
Do we have to stay here? The people today didn't want to hear us. Can't we go home first thing in the morning?
What is your name, child?
You know what my name is. Ida.
Ida what?
Ida Scudder.
And what does the name Scudder signify?
Oh, I know the answer to that one. The name Scudder may be derived from the Latin word scutari, which means shield-bearers, or it may come from the Anglo-Saxon word scudari, meaning to scud along before the wind. In either case,
it is not a name for cowards. The shield-bearer does not wear his implement of defense on his back. He who scuds before the wind runs ahead of the obstacle, not away from it. I assume that the granddaughter of Dr. John Scudder the First had been told the story of her forebearers.
You assume correctly, brother.
Well, and do you think that the sons of John and Harriet Scudder, or their granddaughters, should turn tail and run because a few hecklers take it into their heads to shout, Govinda?
I don't know. I don't know what to think.
Ida, where are you going?
May I stand beside you, Ida?
If you wish. It's almost like karma, this unknown power or fate which the Indians fear. This power of grandparents, parents, uncles, even cousins, Dixie. All trying to force me into their mold. I know I'm a Scudder, but I want to choose for myself what shield to bear and what winds to run before.
And so we conclude Chapter 3 of Dr. Ida, the story of Ida Scudder. This has been another in the series, Stories of Great Christians, coming to you from the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago.